Hey, Fight fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. Today we got a returning guest to the show. He is UFC fighter making his return to the octagon, taking on Yadier DelValle on May 17th. He is the controller. He is Mr. Connor Matthews. Connor, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited. I just got this short notice fight, and I'm ready to get after it, man. I've been training. I've been ready to go. So, I was really hoping to get a fight, and I was thinking more June, but May when the boss calls, you get pick it up and you got to go fight. So that's how it goes.
You're really making a name for yourself by fighting these really tough competition right now. I mean, your first one a couple fights ago with Dennis Bajuka, obviously find Jose Delgado, top prospect. Right away, now you're taking on DelValle, who's another top prospect. Overall, do you really feel like to make your name, to climb the division, to get a lot of people know who you are, is this the method that we have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the UFC. There's no it's stacked from top to bottom this day and age. There's no easy fights anymore. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. That you're always I don't especially being 0-2 right now in the UFC. I don't really got a decision to be make. Whoever they give me, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to take that fight and and try to win. And that's what I want to do. I want to win a fight and start get my name back, get momentum going my way again. And coming off this first time I've ever lost 2 fights in a row, and that's been eating at me ever since that. So I'm just like, I stayed in the gym, I stayed ready, because that's how I was able to take this fight in 3 weeks. I mean, I'm cutting down to 145, and I have no problem making it because I've been ready to go. I've been doing everything I possibly could do to get myself ready to get back in the cage, and again that opportunity again. So I'm just great. I'm really more just grateful that they're giving me another opportunity to get in there and I can prove what I can do. I've done it before. I know I could be. I don't think my last 2 showings against Dennis and against Jose was really a real measuring of who I am as a fighter. You know what I mean? It's a quick learning curve to get in the octagon and fight at that level. But I know what I can do in the gym, and I know what I've done before. So I just I need to get out there and be myself and fight and do the same thing, man. Get another fight, get a win.
One thing I love about mixed martial arts is every single fighter has their own story. You have a very unique story, obviously having a long career in the military, making that transition over to being a professional fighter, making it to the highest pinnacle that this sport offers. 5, 6, 7 years ago, if someone told you you'd be in this position right now, would you believe them?
I don't think so. I thought, there's definitely when I was in the military and I literally remember going to my coach and being like, "Hey, man, I want to take another fight. Yeah, I know it's probably too late for me to ever, make it to the UFC or anything like that, but I just want to take another fight." And little behold, like here I am fighting my 3rd fight in the UFC. You know what I mean? Fourth time fighting at the Apex, and then I had my NXT, so it's like my 5th time in the Octagon, which you know what I mean is didn't all go my way, but there's something to be said on that. I mean, I'm competing, I'm fighting at the highest level of mixed martial arts, and but that's not what I want my story to be. I want my story to be is I want to prove myself as a mixed martial artist, as a fighter, and I want people to I don't want to be in my heart. To be honest, be like I want to be like I want to win in the UFC so bad. I feel like if you go 0-2 and get cut, I don't really consider myself a UFC fighter in my heart, and I want to be considered a real UFC fighter. So I put everything I possibly could do to win this fucking fight, and I feel like this is a good matchup for me. He's 8-0, he's good, but like man, I have a little bit more experience. I think fighting against high level talent.
Do you feel the values and lessons learned from the military, did that help smoothen that transition to the pro MMA world?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, I had setbacks. I've had so many, just perspective, outside perspective of life that actually goes a long way of being a fighter. You know what I mean? It's just the mental toughness and just just the grit and all this stuff I had to go through to become a combat controller. You know what I mean? I apply that to my fighting career. Never mind, like I had setbacks to become a combat controller. It wasn't just a smooth job of 2.5 years. It's 2.5 years pipeline. I had failures. I set back. Had to redo schools again. It was a grind. I was scraping tooth and nail just to make it to that. So yeah, man, that's been my life story my whole life. So that's why I think this is right on par for how my life is going. Like I said, I'm a true fighter, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna show everybody who I am. I'm a true, like I said, you call me. I mean, I don't need a fucking full fight camp. I stay in the gym. I'm ready to go. If the boss calls, asks me to go fight, I'm gonna go fight, and I'm gonna show everybody who I am and what I can do.
In this day and age, I think if you want to be in the UFC, if you want to fight the highest level competition, there's no more fighting than getting fat, staying 2 months on the couch. You have to train year round, man. I mean, you have to do this almost every single day and really dedicate your life to it. With that being the case, is there even such thing as a short notice fight anymore?
I don't think so. I think fight camp is a way of life. You know what I mean? It's just like, we call it fight camp, and that's basically just getting scheduled and maybe like being game planning specific things for an individual. But like when it comes to my schedule and how I train every single day, it doesn't change at all. It hasn't changed. You know what I mean? Even if I don't, I'm hurt and I can't train at all, I'm still going to the gym and I'm watching what's going on in practice. I'm helping out the younger kids, helping them get ready for fights. So it's like it's a lifestyle. The only thing that really changes is the diet and you maybe a little bit extra cardio to make sure you're getting yourself in peak performance so you can peak for the fight. But like I said, I've been training like my ass man and working out. I've been following my program, and when that phone called, I was ready to go.
So you train over with the New England cartel, so many big names. Obviously, you have your Calvin Caters in there, Rob Font's in there. What's it like mixing up with those guys?
It's always been great, man. Especially Rob and Calvin. They helped me out a ton with getting me to this point. They've been training more up in Montreal the last couple of fight camps. They've been training with the TriStar, but man, dude, we have a ton of really, really good dudes coming up that like you guys are gonna see in the UFC soon. Guys who've been in the UFC and been guys like Chris Mantino. He's one of my closest training partner. We have Tom Pags. He's up and coming. I think he's like 6-1 right now, coming up and coming. Nick Fiore fought in the UFC. He didn't go his way, but man, he's been on a tear ever since. We got Andrew Valdina, Joe Poirier. We have like a stacked room of guys, you know what I mean, just on that level, ready to go. And we're all young and we're all really hungry. So I'm the oldest guy. I'm the old guy in the room right now. And the younger guys in there are just they want to be in the UFC. They're scratching tooth and nail, like, so it kind of pushes me to be harder, be better. And we have a lot of good guys coming up, and I'm just super grateful for Tyson Chartier for the room he's created and the culture he's created. And that's, we say, like, a lot of guys, like, you look at areas in the world where, like, like, let's say like Dagestan, or like, they have a whole bunch of you guys who make it to the UFC, and it really comes down to culture, is creating the right culture that makes a small number of people make it to a high level in the sport. And that's what Tyson has really done. He's really good at creating a good culture. And we have a lot of guys coming up, and I think it's going to pay dividends. He kind of went through it with Rob Calvin. That was like his first two guys he got up there. And I think that, we have a really good, he's probably brought that back to us, and we have a really good room going right now.
When you look at the world, you look at different MMA pockets, especially within North America, you see your Florida guys, you see your Boston guys, you see all the different promotions, the Cage Titans, the CES is there, the Combat Zone is there, all these great fighters. If you're born in Boston, are you like fighting at birth?
No, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's definitely not. I think there's a little bit of a tough guy mentality culture from just being like that blue collar mentality that's kind of been passed on through generations for Bostons. I remember being in high school and stuff, and like that's what me and my friends wanted to do, is just like go around and go fight people or whatever it was. It's just that's definitely a Boston thing for sure. I don't feel like I see in other parts of the country, but we always have guys like. Boxing has been a big thing. We seem like we have a lot of guys who are good strikers and good boxers, and it just, to that being said, like other places in the country, they got a lot of Brazilians that, like, down in Miami and stuff. They got like that's where that kind of came from, all those fighters, and then but yeah, I definitely think that Boston's, we have really gritty fighters. I mean, from top to bottom, like if you look at Joe Lozon, you look at Calvin Cater, you look at Rob Font, Charles Rosa. I mean, guys all of our guys don't seem like they get finished easier. They think they kind of get into these wars, and they're just tough, gritty fighters. And I'm just trying to keep that culture alive too. I like I said, I go into a fight, and it's either I'm going in there swinging for the fences. I'm never putting on a boring fight. You know what I mean? So it's just not in my nature. It's not in my upbringing, I guess.
It's kind of crazy, to think that, you are one of those older guys on the team, and we haven't seen you too long in the worldwide stage. I guess you would with the UFC, but I mean, you've had fights dating back to 2011 on Topology. I think there's so many casual fans who watch the sport now, and it's great for the growth and development of the sport. They don't realize, man, 10 to 15 years ago, we weren't at what we were today. It wasn't legal everywhere. You fought Cage Titans then. That's been a very respected promotion that's done the right thing for many of years. But do you have any stories of maybe either being in fights at bars, mystery opponents, or crazy training situations, or seeing stories that happened to some of your buddies back in the early days of this?
Yeah, I mean, for first of all, my first fight was in 2011. I walked out back then I was at a Taekwondo school that became an MMA school. That's how new MMA was. Like my karate instructor started doing MMA. We and him would do MMA, like our karate class, and then we would drive to Joe Lozon's gym and we do jiu-jitsu after that at night. I would drive with him, and that's how long I've been doing this sport. I've been in MMA since 2007, 2008. And but back then it's just the jiu-jitsu wasn't the same. The training wasn't the same in the way it is today. And I had my sensei. He told me when I turned 18. He's like, "All right, we're gonna put you in the cage for your first fight." And I've never even been to a cage fight before. My first time getting into the cage or seeing a cage was my first time fighting. Like that was it. I walked out in my gi, my karate purple. I was a purple belt in Taekwondo, not purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I walked out in that, and I've had my first fight. And Tank Abbott was at that fight. That's one person I remember. But yeah, man, that was my childhood. And I remember after I had my first MMA fight, I was like so hooked to the sport, like the crazy adrenaline. That's like definitely changed me, and that's all I wanted to do for a couple of years is just do that. But street fights, yeah, man, we had a lot of. I mean, St. Patrick's Day, I've been known to get in a couple of those things, drinking, partying when I was younger, and going around. I've definitely been in quite a few street fights, and not to say that I'm proud of those anymore, especially now knowing what I know now and as a martial artist. But when we were kids growing up, I mean, that's like seems like that's what we like to do. We like to get drunk and go around and fight people, which is not recommended to anybody. And I've changed. I'm not like that. I'm 33 now, or turning 33 next month, so it's like not like that at all anymore. But when I was a kid, that's kind of seems like what we used to do.
When you look at the great fighters from that Boston area, there's one to me that sticks out, and that's Joe Lozon. Obviously one of the most historic careers. I really think the dude is an absolute legend. I mean, the jiu-jitsu, so amazing what he's done, being on the Ultimate Fighter, already beating Jens Pulver, having some of the most wins in the UFC history. What made Joe so special?
I think Joe is like a pure fighter. I would say, like, it's like his mentality in the gym. Like, first of all, he's smart. He's really, really smart. He's like a computer nerd too. So he's like that first mix of being like a wicked big nerd and being a tough kid. And he just put it together, I think, soon with that jiu-jitsu. He was just really good submission artist. He's really strong and really good in the gym. Like, and that's what he was just doing, man. He put it together at a young age, and before everybody else was doing it. And yeah, man, I was lucky to be in an area where that kind of branched out to me in some sort of way. You know what I mean? And I grew up underneath that, one of that first generation of MMA fighters. And yeah, I got lucky with that as being underneath Joe. But yeah, Joe is he's wicked smart. He literally like that. That's his biggest thing, and he just applies that to martial arts. And I think he's one of the first guys to actually kind of do that. Like the first, they say like these autistic kids are really good at jiu-jitsu. He's like the first one.
No, it's absolutely crazy where you see how mixed martial arts has developed and evolved.
Yeah.
25 years ago, this was not culturally accepted. People thought fighters were absolutely crazy and belonged in prison and like all this crazy stuff back in the day, right? Now we're at a point where UFC's generating so much money. There's so much money in mixed martial arts. There's so many opportunities for guys. I mean, we're watching a huge fight card right now. You see it. If you wanted to, you can watch a regional fight literally on Fight Pass like 4 or 5 times a week now. It's gone to this point. Did you ever see this coming?
Yeah, I know. I think I never expect, especially getting even since I got back into the sport like 6 years ago. Like I got back. I mean, Conor McGregor came out and he was like 2014, 2015 when he was like really making his rise, and I kind of caught my attention back to the sport a little bit at that point. I think 2015, and then I deployed and came back, and like it still wasn't as big as it is right now. I mean, in the last 4 or 5 years, I think this sport just skyrocketed, and like you said, like amateur fighters almost look like professionals back in freaking, especially 2011, 100%. Like amateurs are way better than the professionals now. But like even like 5 years ago. I mean, these kids that are coming up are just so much better. The whole sport of mixed martial arts has evolved so much. I see kids that are like, 11 years old doing stuff in jiu-jitsu that I don't even know what the hell that is. I'm like, what the, like, these kids are so good. So yeah, the sport's just, I think we said we're right now still, I think we're in the dark ages of the sport. I think there's just a lot more development of the sport. There's going to be more money coming to the sport. It's just so popular. It's you know what I mean? So like I never expected it to be this big. And just for me, for like from doing my passion and seeing where my passion is at right now, and I'm still being able to compete in the UFC at my age, like I would have never thought this. You know what I mean? I was 27 when I got out of the military, and did not think I would be fighting in the UFC at the ages of 33, and you know what I mean, and having my third fight. So yeah, man, I'm just blown away of where everything is right now.
One thing we're seeing in this day and age of mixed martial arts is a very entertainment and personality driven phenomenon.
Yeah,
Obviously, you mentioned Conor McGregor, and
yeah,
some MMA traditionalists, they have different views on this. I think at the end of the day, personality entertainment, it's always been part of the sport. You always have those
yeah.
guys, but now we're seeing it at a very much large scale, with the growth and development of things, eyeballs on it. Maybe a good idea. Some like it, some don't. How do you think it's changed mixed martial arts?
It's changed the fans, like the patties, the baddies right now, and I think it's just it's bringing in you said, like those casual fans. It really is getting those guys' attention, and there's just a lot more people that don't really understand the sport really watching the sport, which is like kind of annoying too. Like you know what I mean, like reading the comments, like all that stuff. People that just like blowing saying all this stuff, and like they have no idea what the heck they're really talking about, but at the same time, man, it's good for us. At the end of the day, it's more money. You know what I mean? More eyes on the sport means more money in our pockets and more we can do. And so and it's good for the sport overall because I mean it's gonna catch more people's interest and it's gonna make more people do it, which is gonna make higher skill development in the sport. So like I said, I truly like I love martial arts and learning and just to see where where things have started and to where it's at right now has been awesome. So I just can't wait to see where it's going to be another 10, 15 years with it. At the pace it's going at right now. It's going to be incredible.
It's great when you start looking at these casual fans. They're really starting to understand more about what's
Yeah.
going on in the sport. You still, when you go to B-dubs, you go to the fights, you might hear twist them and the some crazy
Yeah.
takes. One thing I'm trying to stress to the casual fans is being a fighter, they look at the big names, right? They look at the Masvidals and the McGregors and the Habibs and like, whoa, they see the fame, they see the fortune, they see the guys who are the most upper echelon of this. They don't see the sacrifices, man. They don't see the sacrifices of battling it out on the regional scene, losing money in some cases, having that 9-to-5 job to fund this, not knowing that you have to pay to train, stay up late,
Yeah.
do your day job, train more, do this day in and day out just for the possible chance of making it to the UFC or a bigger show like that. You've been doing this for many of years. You've had setbacks, you've experienced highs, you've experienced lows. What's made you want to keep on and keep going, man?
You know what I mean? It's for me, it's like you said, and I have a full-time job too. So like, you know what I mean? I'm getting another job. I'm actually getting a job as a firefighter pretty soon too. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I have other stuff like, I have these other avenues in my I don't fight because I have to. Because you know what I mean? I fight because I love to. And it for me it's like it's just it's a passion of mine and like, martial arts in general and being a fighter is honestly to me is just one portion of being a martial artist. You know what I mean? I'm always going to train. I'm always going to do this, but I'm definitely going to follow this down as far as I possibly can down the road. You know what I mean? I want to see how high I can make it in the sport and the best. I want to become the best martial artist I could possibly become. And I feel like you can give me a black belt, you can give me all this other thing, but nothing really compares to competing on a live stage at the highest level. Like that's the most important part of the sport, right? You're that's where it really counts is you're really proving to yourself of how good of martial arts you are is doing that. So that's what it means to me. It's just it's like I said, I'm losing money still doing this. You know what I mean? No matter what, but it's not about that to me. It's about it's a passion and I love it and I'm just gonna keep on doing it as long as I can. And I want to grow out, climb the ranks of this UFC of my division, and I'm gonna keep trying until I make it. Like I said, and I from being in the military, like our saying is I never fucking quit, and it's true. I'm never gonna quit, man. I'm gonna keep on growing. I'm gonna keep on showing my face, and I'm gonna show everybody who I am as a person and as a martial artist.
You don't see too many fighters anymore referring to themselves as martial artists. You think with the personality and entertainment-driven era, has the values of martial arts and the whole concept of martial artists, are we starting to lose this a little bit?
Um, you know what? I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like there's some people that there's athletes, right? I always think there's like that's those categories. You have like you have your fighters, right? Just really pure fighters. You have your martial artists, guys who just like the technicians of the sport, and then you have your athletes, and now we have like our social media part of it, guys who can really talk themselves into like a high position in the sport. And I don't think so though. I don't. I think that's it's always going to be there. For me, I don't really care. Like I maybe there was probably portions of my life I was like, oh, I like kind of got attracted to being they get the fame and all that stuff. You know what I mean? People are gonna know my name, but like you then you get there and you're like, oh, it's not what I thought it was, and I don't really care that much. I really just do this personally for me. I think it's good for the sport to have people, like I said, like talking and all that, and making a name for themselves and being those characters. But I don't think that martial artist part is ever going to leave the sport. I think it just keeps on evolving. You know what I mean? You have to be a martial artist. And I think that, the better people get, I don't think it has to be like so respectful how it was back in the day, like bow on the mats and Karate Kid style. Like, I don't think that's anything, but, just understanding the sport, you know what I mean? The science behind it. And that's always, it's going to be there. That's the only way the sport evolves. And it's going to keep on continuing to be there.
The casual fans, they understand that you guys are going out there, you're training, you're going into a fight. You're trying to win the fight to get bigger fights, maybe get your title shot and become bigger names in the UFC. I think very few people understand that there's more than just that fight of being a mixed martial artist. I think there's the fight of financial freedom. There's the fight of living life on your own terms. There's the fight of not having to clock in at 9 o'clock and clock out at 5 o'clock and live life under your way. Is that another reason why you do this?
Oh man, I would be so happy to get a big knockout and get a 75K bonus on top of my win bonus. You know what I mean? Walking out of a fight with $100,000 would be absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? I fight, and obviously there's always a little bit of money into it, but it's not the biggest driver for me at all, because you get one of those, it's just one payday and you have to go back there and do it again. For me, it's very impressive. If you look at guys like Rob Font and Calvin, who've done a full career and they've made a lot of money doing this stuff. Joe Lozon, he was like known as the bonus guy, right? He's made a lot of money in this sport, and it's always impressive to me. And I think that's awesome. It's not why I do it. I wouldn't like tell somebody, hey, you know what I mean? You go become a UFC fighter and try to make some money. Probably the worst idea in the world. But yes, if I get some money in my pocket, yeah, Tony's probably just gonna go right back into like a gym or something like that. I'm just gonna invest it back into martial arts. So, because it's at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really matters to me is doing this every single day and enjoying my passions.
Absolutely. So you're wearing it right now. You're wearing your shirt from the Contender Series. You took on Yair Farias, your second time in the Contender Series, first time coming up short of Francis Marshall. What was that whole experience like, being able to right the wrong and, have a memorable Contender Series that everyone will remember forever?
I mean, dude, that for me, like, if you stopped my career right there, right, it was a fucking movie ending for me, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, like losing against Francis Marshall with an absolute war, getting lucky, getting back on Dana White's looking for a fight, winning a fight, getting asked to go back to the Contender Series, and beating a 10-0 kid like Dias Ferreras from the Fighting Nerds. Like, that was now that's the biggest gym in the world right now, right? They have the big four, but I think it was supposed to be the big five. He was supposed to be the fifth one. Nobody really talks about that. It was, oh yeah, Fighting Nerds guys come on. They've been dominating the UFC. They're like, whatever. What about the guy that I fought? Nobody talks about that one, dude. So, yeah, I mean, but like, yeah, I think that that was I'm very, very grateful. That was amazing. And I mean, for me, it was like a movie ending, from everything I've gone through, from going to the military and coming back and getting that contract. And, you know what I mean? That was it was just awesome. I'm super proud of that. I wish, you know what I mean. But that's behind me now. You know what I mean. Now it's my UFC career, and I'm this is the new grind. This is the new, There's always the thing with fighting. There's always another mountain peak. There's always, no matter how good you are. I don't care if you're Volkanovski, right? He's never, you're never satisfied. And we talked about this in practice. Or Coach Tyson was talking about this the other day in practice. He's like, you're never going to be satisfied, no matter what. There's another peak. It's like you're gonna climb that mountain. So it's just like that's just the name of the game. That's the name of the sport, and I'm never satisfied too. Like, because if my career ended right there, I'd be like, now what? Yeah, like what the fuck? It is than it is. I'm grateful for that, but my eyes are forward. I want this UFC career, man. I really want to win in this UFC. I love being in the UFC. It does like the other stuff about it, like like the nutrition. I get like the PI. I get a strength and conditioning coach, like one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the world. Um, Fight week is always fucking amazing. Like just like all those things that I love the experience of like a fight week and of getting ready and all that stuff. So it's just like I want that to continue. I want to live this life. And so I gotta fight for it though. That's the thing at the end of the day. You gotta win these fights. All great and dandy, but if you're not winning fights, it don't matter. So I want to win this fight and continue my life the way I'm living right now.
So on May 17th, make your return to the Apex, taking on Yadier DelValle, getting welcome to his first actual UFC contest. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
I think that I think he's obviously good. He's 8-0. He's a stud. He's coming off the contender series, just like everybody else in the UFC. He's finally fighting somebody around my height. He's not overly huge like Jais Ferreras and everybody has a lot of guys that fight 5'10", 5'9", longer reach. Starting to find somebody I have a reach advantage on, so I'm excited about that. Southpaw. I'm bisexual, so I go both ways. It doesn't really matter, and and so it does. So you know what I mean. I'll mix it up with them. He looks like he's like a strong, tough, athletic kid. Um, I'm expecting a fight. He like anybody who's fought who's good. It seems like he gets a unanimous decision on. It goes a little bit of the distance. So it's like I'm ready to dog it out with this kid. But like I can dog it out too. I've done it before. You guys seen me fight Francis Marshall, dog it out. Even with Dennis, it was a third round fight, and Dias Ferreras especially, I dogged it out with him. So I know that's in me, and I'm ready to go there again. So that's my plan. I'm gonna I could probably finish him, but I'm ready to go. In my head, I'm just going for a war and just gonna fucking grind this motherfucker down. And sorry, excuse my French, but I'm just gonna grind this guy down and take it to him and earn my contract again.
You have such a fun style. Connor Matthews does not know how to go backwards. You only go forward. When you're fighting
Yeah.
in the Apex, when you're fighting in a smaller cage, does that just follow suit? Does that better your style?
Yeah, the smaller cage is definitely good for me. You know what I mean. I love if I can get you against the cage and grind you against the cage and beat the shit out of you that way. That's where I like to have the fight. I like to impose my will on somebody. That's what I like to do. And the best way to do that is grappling. Really, is getting either on top of them or grinding them against the cage or like moving forward, right? That's how you really gas people out and get them tired. I don't know. I broke the record for the VO2 max in for the UFC, so I have a really good VO2 max. So I know, like, if I want to impose my will on somebody, I gotta get into the cage. Got to not get knocked out on the way in. That's the trick. You know what I mean? So and then so I gotta get in there and just freaking bring it to him, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Absolutely. So we have some big UFC fights coming up. What I want to do before I let you go here, just give you
Yeah.
some time to do some predictions on some of these big contests. We got a big rematch coming up between Sugar Sean O'Malley and Merab Devashvili. Who do you got winning that one?
So I mean, I really think, and I'm a Marab fan. I like Marab. I met him multiple times, and he's just a nice guy, and he's just the man. And I don't know Sean O'Malley at all. But I do think Sean O'Malley in his last fight, he was very compromised. It seems like comparatively to any of his other fights he's had out there. I think I think he was dealing with a lot of injuries, and I think he went in there and he just didn't look the same Sean O'Malley to me. So now we're getting a healthier, better Sean O'Malley. I don't think it's going to be as much of a cakewalk for Marab as it. However, that being said, Marab is I think so. Sean O'Malley, I think he has a big like psychological thing of a lot of guys, and that's how he's able to beat guys almost like like Conor McGregor kind of had that effect on people before he even gets in there. He's able to just get things done because of like his mental warfare or whatever it is, that psychological thing he's able to get onto people. That moment, he's really good to fight in those high stress situations, but Marab doesn't care about that at all. Marab is just, he seems like he can go in there. I don't think Marab's even the most technical fighter in the division, but he just has some sort of mental thing where he doesn't give a shit and he can just treat anybody like he's fighting somebody off the street or doesn't care. Like he's just really good at that. And so I think, it's a hard fight to call. This, if I would say this is like very 50-50 to me. I know that I hate saying that, having a pick right now, but this fight to me is like, instead of being like, oh yeah, I think Marab's gonna smoke him, I think it's gonna be a very 50-50 fight. But Sean O'Malley is gonna be in a way better spot to win than he was comparatively to his last fight.
Absolutely. Another big one coming up. Jack Della Maddalena versus Bilal Muhammad. Who do you got on that one?
I like Bilal. I think he's really good. He's really technical, and he knows how to win very well. So I'm gonna go with Bilal Muhammad on that one. He's been on a tear lately, right? I think what has he lost in the last, like, I don't think so.
No, he's
No,
lights out.
yes, yeah. So I think Bilal. I'm gonna go with Bilal on that one.
All right, so the last one, big one that just got announced, a big fan favorite here, Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier
yeah.
doing it again. Do you want to take a stab on this one?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with. This is another tough one. But I think that Dustin Poirier seems like he's been really good lately. I don't know, but Max Holloway with that knockout, like, this is the first time Max has ever been dropped and ever been knocked out. So for me, I don't know if that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, then once that happens once, I think there's a higher tendency of that happening again, especially soon after for his next fight. And Dustin Poirier just has fucking power in his hands, man. His boxing is sharp. This is the trilogy. I'm gonna go with Dustin Poirier in this one. I think, and I'm a Max Holloway guy. I love Max Holloway. Max Holloway's been my favorite, but I really think that I don't know. I think that Dustin Poirier is gonna get it done in this next one.
You're a guy that's so passionate with the sport of mixed martial arts, whether being a fan, competing
Yeah.
in it, helping others with it. You feel like you're going to be involved in MMA one shape or form for the rest of your life?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. I'm definitely going to be involved. I coaching is one of my passions too. I got some kids coming up underneath me that I've been coaching, and putting a lot of time to those guys. So that's, for me, coaching is like training too. You know what I mean? Like, teaching is just helps me better understand everything. So coaching is going to be a big part of it. And yeah, I just want to be involved in the sport anyway, which way I can. If I get a job with the UFC someday, that'd be a freaking amazing job. I would love to do that. That'd be so. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and make as far as I can as a mixed martial as a fighter. And then as soon as my UFC career is done, I'm probably done fighting it there. I'm not gonna be one of these guys that fights after my UFC career. Probably just gonna start focusing on the next generation, the guys coming under me, and become a coach is my main goal. And so excited for that too.
Absolutely. All right, Connor, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome on May 17th when you make your return to the UFC octagon against Yadier DelValle?
First round knockout. I say that again, man. I want to go in there. I don't want a war, but I'm ready to go a war. But if I go in there and get a first round knockout, you know what I mean. I feel like I got power in my hands, man. I hit hard. People haven't really seen it too much, but I really do. I do hit hard. My coaches say it all the time. They always say I'm the hardest like pound for pound striker they got in the gym. So that can happen. And I got kicks. I got all the weapons. And I'm just gonna go in there and be me and have a little bit of fun this fight. Let's go have some fun and fucking knock this guy out.
There you go. Well, Connor, man, thank you so much for your time again. I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be awesome, and wishing nothing but the best, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the podcast. Appreciate you having me on, and thank you so much. Let's get this shit done, man.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Peruzza. He is the controller. He is Mr. Connor Matthews. Watch on May 17th. Taking on Yadier DelValle. Take it easy, five fans.
Go.